All right, let's dive in. Digital twins. You guys have given us quite the collection of sources on this one.
Yeah, some really interesting stuff.
Research papers, articles, even case studies. Someone out there is serious about getting to the bottom of this tech.
Definitely seems that way.
So, digital twins, in a nutshell, they're like virtual, I don't know, like replicas of things in the real world.
Yeah, I think like a virtual doppelganger.
Okay, a doppelganger, but for like anything. A car
Yeah.
part, a whole factory, even entire cities, right?
Exactly. We're talking like anything you can think of, really.
And the wild part is they use real-time data to simulate and analyze how the actual thing behaves. So like, theoretically, you could see if a bridge could survive an earthquake before it even happened.
You got it. That's the power of digital twins.
In one of the sources you sent over, an essay by Jörg-Owe, he talks about how Renault used digital twins to design and test car prototypes, but like virtually.
Right, so they could spot any problems and fix them before they even built a physical car. Saves a ton of time and money.
That's incredible. So it's like having a virtual test lab where you can just try stuff out without any risk, without anything blowing up in your face, literally.
Pretty much. And speaking of trying stuff out, how do we actually build one of these digital twins? What's the magic behind the curtain?
Right. Break it down for us. What's the tech?
Well, it's a bunch of different technologies all working together. Think of it like this. You need senses first.
Okay, senses. I'm intrigued.
So that's where the Internet of Things comes in, or IoT for short. They put sensors on whatever it is, the machine, the building, even a human body. And these sensors are constantly collecting data, temperature, pressure, location, you name it, and feeding it all to the digital twin.
So it's like giving the twin a constant stream of information about what's happening in the real world.
Exactly. A live feed, 24/7.
Yeah.
But then you need a way to process all that data to make sense of it. That's where the brain comes in.
The brain. So now the twin has a brain.
In a manner of speaking, we're talking about artificial intelligence, or AI. These algorithms take all that sensor data and start looking for patterns, anything unusual, and any trends that pop up. They can predict things like, oh, this machine's about to break down, or how a building will react if the weather changes suddenly, even how an athlete's body is performing.
Wow, so the AI brain is what really makes the digital twin more than just a 3D model. It's what lets it learn and change.
You got it. But to see all this happening, to actually interact with it, you need a way to look inside, like a window. And that's where extended reality, or XR, comes in.
Okay, so XR, that's the window into this digital world.
Yeah, think VR headsets, augmented reality apps, all that stuff. It lets you visualize the digital twin, move things around, and basically like step inside the simulation and see how it all plays out.
This is getting seriously sci-fi now. But all this data, all this simulation, it must need a ton of computing power, right?
Right, you need some serious horsepower. And that's where cloud computing comes in. The cloud is like the engine room. It provides all the storage and processing power to keep this whole digital twin operation running smoothly.
Okay, so we've got the senses, IoT, the brain, AI, the window, XR, and the engine room, cloud computing. That's quite the recipe for a digital twin. But I'm guessing there isn't just one type of digital twin.
You're absolutely right. Schneepat talks about three main types: product twins, process twins, and system twins. So product twins, they're all about a single product, like that Renault car we talked about. They're used to optimize the design, how well it performs, even the whole manufacturing process.
So it's like a virtual blueprint you can mess around with and test until it's perfect.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Then you have process twins. These guys are focused on optimizing how things work, like a production line in a factory or how patients move through a hospital. You can simulate different situations and spot any bottlenecks or areas where things aren't as efficient as they could be.
So with a process twin, it's all about improving the steps involved, how the whole system flows.
Exactly. And finally, there are system twins. Now, these are the heavy hitters, the most complex ones. They model entire interconnected systems, like a city's transportation network or a power grid, and they're used for real-time monitoring and management, helping to prevent problems and make sure everything's running as smoothly as possible.
So we've got digital twins for products, for processes, and for entire systems. It's pretty clear that this tech could have a massive impact on, well, just about every industry out there. But why should businesses and organizations actually invest in this? What are the real benefits?
The potential benefits are huge, and Schneepat goes into some of the biggest ones in his essay.
All right, lay it on us. What's so great about digital twins?
Well, for one, they can help us make better decisions. Imagine having a crystal ball that could show you the potential outcomes of different choices you could make. That's kind of what a digital twin can offer.
Wait, hold on. So instead of just going with your gut or looking at old data, you're making decisions based on real-time simulations and predictions.
Exactly. It's like having a sneak peek into the future. And Schnepphat mentioned a case study about an automotive production line that saw a massive reduction in downtime after they started using digital twins.
Downtime, like
Yeah.
how often the production line breaks down.
Yep, exactly that. And the study found that downtime was reduced by get this, a whopping 87.56%. Just think about the amount of money and time saved because things are running smoothly.
It's like having a virtual mechanic on hand, 247, to make sure everything's in tip-top shape. But what about the environment? Can digital twins help us become more sustainable?
That's a great question, and the answer is a resounding yes. Schnepphat actually highlighted a few ways digital twins can be used for sustainability.
Oh, I'd love to hear about that.
For example, they can simulate the energy consumption of a building and find ways to reduce its carbon footprint.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So it's like having a virtual lab for sustainability. You can play around with different ideas and find the best, most eco-friendly solutions.
Precisely, but goes beyond just buildings. They can also be used to optimize traffic flow in cities, which can lead to less congestion and fewer emissions.
So it's not just about making things better, faster, and cheaper. It's about making them better for the planet, too. But what about us, the humans? How do digital twins affect people?
The potential benefits for people are honestly just as exciting. Imagine personalized healthcare treatments based on your specific genes. Or imagine training programs for athletes that are tailored to their unique physiology.
Okay, so we're not just talking about making machines and systems more efficient. We're talking about empowering individuals as well. But let's get real for a second. Every technology has its downsides, its challenges. What are we up against when it comes to digital twins?
Schnepphat definitely doesn't shy away from the challenges. One of the biggest ones, and this might not be a surprise, is data. Digital twins, they need a ton of data to function properly. Accurate, reliable data.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Exactly. If the data is flawed, then the twins' predictions and simulations are going to be flawed too. And with all this data flying around, security has to be a huge concern.
Oh, for sure. You don't want someone hacking into the digital twin of a power grid or a hospital. That could be disastrous.
Absolutely. Protecting that data is crucial. But another challenge is keeping the digital twin in sync with its real-world counterpart, especially when you're dealing with complex systems that are constantly changing.
Right, that makes sense. Like, how do you keep up with a moving target, especially when that target is something massive like a whole city or a global supply chain? And speaking of complexity, just managing all that data from all those different sources, that's got to be a headache in itself.
It's a huge challenge. We need some seriously smart data management strategies to make sure the digital twin can handle it all and actually provide useful insights.
And with all this talk about complex systems and data, we're going to need a whole army of experts to build and manage these digital twins, right?
They got it. Finding enough people with the right skills is a major hurdle. We need more data scientists, engineers, cybersecurity experts, people who really get how to build and maintain these sophisticated systems.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about the people and the infrastructure to support it. Well, we've talked about the good stuff, the challenges. Now let's look ahead. What's in store for digital twins? What's the future look like?
The future, it's incredibly exciting. Schnepphat points to a few key trends that are going to shape how digital twins evolve. One of the biggest ones is how AI and automation are coming together in the manufacturing world.
Ah, the rise of the smart factories, right?
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about that lately.
Exactly. Imagine factories where machines can talk to each other, figure out how to work better on their own, and even adapt to changes in real time. Digital twins are going to be a huge part of making this a reality.
Okay, I'm definitely picturing some futuristic sci-fi factory now.
Yeah.
So we've got smart factories on the horizon. What else?
Well, think about supply chains. The world's a pretty unpredictable place these days, and supply chains are more complex and vulnerable than ever.
Yeah, that's for sure. One little hiccup somewhere, and suddenly no one can find toilet paper.
Exactly. And that's where digital twins come in. They can help us map out these complex supply chains, find potential weak spots, and even simulate what would happen if something went wrong. Like, let's say there's a natural disaster or a big political shakeup.
So it's like having a virtual war room for supply chain management. You can plan for every possible scenario. That's a huge advantage in today's world.
Right. It's all about being prepared. And speaking of being prepared, digital twins are also going to play a big role in creating a more sustainable future.
I was just thinking about that. How exactly are digital twins going to make things more sustainable?
Well, as people demand more eco-friendly products and governments start putting stricter rules in place, companies are going to turn to digital twins to help them keep up. They'll be able to design products with a smaller environmental footprint, use resources more efficiently in manufacturing, and create supply chains that are less harmful to the planet.
So it's not just about efficiency anymore. It's about doing things the right way for the planet. This is all starting to sound pretty incredible, but I'm sure some people listening are thinking, okay, cool tech, but what's it to me? Like, are there any real-world examples of this happening today?
Oh, absolutely. We already talked about Renault using digital twins to design cars, but there are tons of other examples out there. Cities like Singapore are using them to manage traffic and make sure they're using energy as efficiently as possible.
Wait, seriously? A whole city using a digital twin?
Yeah. And hospitals are using them to simulate how patients move through the system and make sure they can respond quickly in emergencies.
Those are some pretty impressive examples. It's clear that digital twins are already making a difference in a lot of different industries. But are there any, unexpected applications? Anything that might surprise people?
Oh, definitely. One that might surprise you is agriculture. Digital twins are being used to create virtual replicas of farms.
Hold on, virtual farms. Like Farmville in real life.
Kind of. It lets farmers optimize crop yields, keep an eye on soil conditions, and even predict the best time to harvest. We're also seeing them being used in the entertainment industry, believe it or not.
Entertainment. Now that's a curveball. How are they using digital twins in entertainment?
Well, they're being used to create those immersive virtual experiences for concerts and sporting events. The kind of thing that makes you feel like you're actually there.
Wow, so we're talking about everything from farms to virtual concerts. It's amazing how many different ways this technology can be used.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible with digital twins. Who knows what we'll be able to do with them in the future?
That's the crazy part, right? The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Exactly. And that's why we need to keep exploring, keep experimenting, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Couldn't agree more. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have a question for you. What are some of the most common misconceptions about digital twins? What do people get wrong?
One of the big ones is that people think digital twins are only for huge companies or those complicated industrial processes. They think it's too expensive or too difficult for smaller businesses or everyday things.
Right, like it's some super exclusive tech that only the big players have access to.
Exactly. But the truth is, digital twins are getting cheaper and easier to use all the time. And we're seeing startups and small businesses using them for all sorts of things, from designing products to improving their customer experience.
That's awesome. So it's not just about the big guys. It's about making this technology accessible to everyone. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting to learn about digital twins? Where should they start?
I'd say start by reading up on it. There are tons of great resources out there, online and in libraries. Of course, Schneppat's essay is a fantastic starting point.
And don't forget all those amazing resources our listeners sent in. They really went above and beyond this time.
Absolutely. Definitely check those out. And there are also a lot of industry publications and online forums where you can learn more. And don't be afraid to reach out to experts in the field and ask questions.
Yeah, don't be shy. Most people who are into this stuff are super passionate about it, and they're usually more than happy to share what they know. It's all about being curious, exploring, and connecting with others who are just as fascinated by digital twins as you are. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything we can on digital twins for now. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Just one. If someone's listening and thinking, okay, this tech is cool and all, but what does it actually mean for me? What's the one thing they should really take away from all this?
Oh, good question. What would you say? What's the big takeaway here?
That digital twins aren't some far-off futuristic fantasy anymore. They're here, they're happening right now, and they're already affecting decisions being made that impact all of us. Schneppat makes this really clear throughout his essay. Whether it's the price of a car, how green our energy grid is, even the traffic on our way to work, digital twins are behind the scenes pulling the strings. And as they get more powerful, that impact is only going to grow.
So we're all part of this digital twin revolution, whether we realize it or not. That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It really is. And it means we have a choice. We can either ignore it or we can learn enough to have a say in how this technology shapes our world.
And that's why conversations like this are so important. We need to keep talking about this stuff, keep learning, keep asking questions.
I couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, And when it comes to technology that's going to change the world, we all need to be empowered.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You asked about the benefits, right? Well, one of the coolest is that it helps us make way better decisions. Imagine having this crystal ball and it shows you what could happen if you make this choice or that one.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of what a digital twin can do.
Yeah, you can try out different situations and see how it plays out. Schneppat mentioned this case study, an automotive production line. They started using digital twins, and guess what?
What happened? They make more cars.
Even better, they slashed their downtime, like the times the production line had to stop.
Really? By how much?
Hold on to your hat. 87.56%. That's what the study found.
No way. That's going to save a ton of money.
Oh, yeah. And time, too. Everything runs smoother. But it's not just about fixing problems. You can use it to really fine-tune things, make everything super efficient, like a well-oiled machine, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's like you've got this virtual expert looking over your shoulder, making sure you're not making any dumb mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the bigger picture? Like the environmental impact. Can digital twins help us be, more eco-friendly?
Absolutely. Schneppat had some great examples of that in his essay. Like, imagine you can simulate how much energy a building uses and then figure out ways to reduce its carbon footprint.
So it's like a virtual lab for sustainability.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You can experiment and find the best, greenest solutions.
Exactly. But it's not just buildings. They can even optimize traffic flow in cities. Less congestion, less pollution.
So we're talking about making things better, faster, and cheaper, but also better for the planet. Okay, I'm sold. But what about the people? How do digital twins actually affect, individuals?
Oh, that's where it gets really exciting. Think personalized healthcare, like treatments tailored to your specific genes, or training programs for athletes, totally customized for their bodies.
So it's not just about making machines and systems work better, it's about helping people, too.
You got it. Empowering individuals. But let's be real, every technology has its challenges.
True. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Right. And Schneppat, he doesn't sugarcoat it. One of the biggest hurdles. Data. Digital twins need a ton of it, and it has to be good data, accurate, and reliable.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Garbage in, garbage out. If you feed it bad data, you're going to get bad results.
Exactly. And then there's the security issue. With all this sensitive data floating around, you got to make sure it's protected. Imagine someone hacking into the digital twin of a power grid or a hospital. That could be a disaster.
Oh, yeah. Scary stuff. So security is definitely a big concern. What else?
Keeping the digital twin in sync with its real-world counterpart, especially with these complex systems that are constantly changing. It's like trying to hit a moving target.
Right, and the target's not just moving. It's like morphing and changing shape all the time.
Yeah.
And managing all that data from all those different sources, that's a whole other challenge.
It is. You need really good data management strategies to keep it all straight. And we can't forget about the people.
Oh, yeah. The human factor. We always forget about the human factor.
Yes. We need people with the right skills to build and manage these things. Data scientists, engineers, cybersecurity experts. Finding enough qualified people is a big hurdle.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about the people who make it work. Well, we've talked about the benefits, the challenges. Now let's look ahead. What's next for digital twins?
The future. It's pretty amazing, actually. Schneppat talks about some big trends that are going to shape things. One of the most exciting is the whole AI and automation thing in manufacturing.
Oh, yeah. Smart factories. I'm reading about those. It's like the robots are taking over.
Not quite taking over, but definitely getting smarter. Imagine factories where machines can communicate, optimize their own performance, and adapt to changes in real time.
Okay, that does sound pretty futuristic. And digital twins are going to make this happen.
They're a big part of it, yeah. They give us a safe space to test and refine these AI-powered systems before we let them loose in the real world.
That makes sense. So smart factories, what else is on the horizon?
Well, supply chains are a big one. The world's a pretty unpredictable place these days. And supply chains, they're more complex and vulnerable than ever.
Yeah, one little hiccup and the whole system goes haywire. We've seen that happen a lot lately.
Exactly. And that's where digital twins can help. We can map out these super complicated supply chains, find potential problems before they happen, and even simulate what would happen if things went wrong. Like, say there's a natural disaster or a big political change.
It's like having a crystal ball for your supply chain. You can see into the future and plan for anything.
Right. It's all about being prepared and resilient. And speaking of the future, digital twins are also going to play a big role in making things more sustainable.
Right. We talked about that earlier. But how exactly are they going to make things more eco-friendly?
Well, as consumers demand more sustainable products and governments start getting stricter about environmental regulations, companies are going to need help. Digital twins are the answer. They can help companies design greener products, use resources more efficiently, and create supply chains that are less harmful to the planet.
So it's not just about doing things better and faster anymore. It's about doing them the right way for the planet. This is all pretty impressive stuff, but I'm sure our listeners are wondering, are there actually real-world examples of this happening right now?
Oh, tons. We already mentioned Renault using them to design cars, but there are cities like Singapore, they're using digital twins to manage traffic and make sure they're using energy as efficiently as possible.
Wow, a whole city running on a digital twin. That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And hospitals are using them to simulate how patients move through the system so they can be ready for emergencies.
Those are some seriously impressive examples. It's clear that digital twins are already making a big difference in a lot of industries. But are there any, unexpected applications? Anything that might surprise people?
Oh, definitely. One that might surprise you is agriculture. They're actually using digital twins to create virtual replicas of farms.
Wait, virtual farms?
Yeah.
Like Farmville in real life. What would you even use that for?
Well, it helps farmers optimize crop yields, keep an eye on soil conditions, even figure out the best time to harvest. And get this, we're even seeing them pop up in the entertainment industry.
Entertainment. Now that's a curveball. How on earth are they using digital twins in entertainment?
They're using them to create those immersive virtual experiences, for concerts and sporting events, the kind that make you feel like you're actually there.
Oh, wow. So digital twins are everywhere, from farms to virtual concerts. It's incredible how many different ways this tech is being used.
It really is. And we're just scratching the surface. Who knows what amazing applications we'll come up with in the future?
That's the crazy part. Yeah. Right? The possibilities are endless. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about digital twins? What do they often get wrong?
One of the big ones is that people think it's just for big companies or super complex industrial stuff. They think it's too expensive or too complicated for smaller businesses or everyday use.
Right, like it's some exclusive club that only the big players get to be a part of.
Exactly. But the reality is digital twins are becoming way more accessible and affordable all the time. And we're seeing startups and small businesses using them for all sorts of things, from designing products to making their customers happier.
So it's not just for the big guys anymore. It's about making this tech available to everyone. That's awesome. So for someone who's just starting to learn about this stuff, what advice would you give them? Where should they begin?
Well, I'd say start by reading up on it. There are tons of great resources online, in libraries. Schneppat's essay is a great starting point, of course.
And don't forget all those awesome resources our listeners sent in. They really outdid themselves this time.
Absolutely. And there are tons of industry publications and online forums dedicated to this stuff. Don't be afraid to reach out to experts and ask questions. Most people are happy to share what they know.
Yeah, don't be shy. The digital twin community is full of passionate people who love talking about this stuff. It's all about being curious, exploring and connecting with others who are just as fascinated by this tech as you are. Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything we can about digital twins. Any last thoughts before we move on to the final part of our deep dive?
Just want, if someone's listening and they're thinking, okay, this tech is cool, but what's in it for me? What's the big takeaway here? How does this affect me?
Yeah, what would you say is the one thing people should really remember from all of this?
Well, digital twins, they aren't some far-off futuristic fantasy anymore. They're here, they're happening now, and they're already shaping decisions that affect us all. Schneppat, he really drives this point home in his essay. Whether we're talking about the cost of a car or how green our energy is, even the traffic on our way to work, digital twins are behind the scenes making things happen. And as this technology gets more powerful, that impact is only going to grow. So we're all part of this, whether we realize it or not.
So we're all part of this digital twin revolution, whether we realize it or not. That's pretty mind-blowing when you really think about it.
It is. And it means we've got a choice to make. We can ignore it, or we can learn enough about it to have a say in how it shapes our world.
And that's why deep dives like this are so important. We need to keep talking about this, keep learning, keep asking questions.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. And when we're talking about technology that has the potential to change the world, well, we all need to be empowered.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, huge thanks for guiding us through this complex topic. You've given us a ton to think about.
It was my pleasure. Your enthusiasm is contagious. It's clear you're just as fascinated by this stuff as I am.
Well, who wouldn't be? It's like we've stepped into the future. But remember, listeners, this isn't just about some cool tech. It's about how we use it. So go explore those resources we talked about, ask questions, and most importantly, stay curious. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next big digital twin innovation.
That's the spirit. The future is waiting to be built, and digital twins are one of the tools that will help us get there.
Beautifully said. This has been The Deep Dive, signing off.